Minister of Health in talks with Ministry of Education on schools' possible reopening. 3 persons in custody for disorderly behavior and assaulting a police. NGSA begins today. In the region, Rights Group says Chile must stop summary deportation of Venezuelan migrants, and internationally, Indians resort to crowdfunding to pay COVID bills. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. 3 persons in Region 3 were arrested for disorderly behavior and assaulting a police officer. Esther Sobers has more.
Ranks of the Guyana Police Force were assaulted on Tuesday whilst carrying out an arrest at Samaru Dam Port Royal on the West Bank, Demerara. According to reports, around 11:45 p.m., 4 ranks were on patrol when they observed 2 males and a female standing close to a fence on the roadway. As the vehicle approached, one of the males threw a black bag over the fence and attempted to walk away. Police intercepted him and retrieved the bag, which contained several small Ziploc plastic bags with several leaves, seeds, and stems suspected to be cannabis sativa. A search conducted on the suspect also unearthed a Ziploc plastic bag with a quantity of leaves, seeds, and stems also suspected to be cannabis sativa. He was informed of the allegation, to which he remained silent, but the female companion, who claimed to be the suspect's sister, began to behave disorderly as he tried to free him from police custody. Her action drew a large crowd. The female assailants and a few people in the mob began assaulting the police. Nevertheless, the police succeeded in arresting the suspect and placing him into the vehicle. But that was not the end for the law enforcement officers, as the woman proceeded to get back into the back of the police vehicle, claiming she was going with her brother. She allegedly began stripping her clothes off, continuing in a disorderly manner while claiming the police were stripping her. As the police vehicle was proceeding out of the area, obstacles was placed on the road, preventing the motor vehicle from exiting the street. The mob began rushing the now stationary vehicle. A police officer discharged a round into the air from his service firearm, which resulted in the crowd retreating. Backup was immediately summoned and arrived shortly after and joined the other ranks in clearing the road of the obstacles. Nonetheless, the police were able to arrest 3 persons for disorderly behavior and for assaulting a police officer. The suspected narcotics amounted to 67 grams. A police counsel was taken to the West Demerara Regional Hospital, where he was treated for injuries sustained to the ordeal. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. 4 men are now in police custody for the murder of 60-year-old overseas-based Guyanese Hemraj Pardesi of Reliance Settlement, East Kanchi Berbice. The incident is said to have occurred around 11 p.m. on Tuesday at the man's home. Inquiries revealed that Hemraj Pardesi returned to Guyana during the early part of July 2021 and was residing alone. He was last seen alive by his nephew on the said date in the company of another male. Police who responded to the crime scene discovered the body of Pardesi lying face down motionless with what appeared to be blood coming out of his nose and duct tape around his neck. Several traces of suspected blood were seen on the steps leading to the upper flat. The entire upper flat of the house was ransacked. The body was taken to the hospital and officially pronounced dead by a doctor. The body is presently at the Arokium Funeral Home awaiting a post-mortem examination. Further intelligence-led investigations led to the arrest of 4 suspects, a 22-year-old male, a 28-year-old male, a 31-year-old male, and a 36-year-old female. Investigations continues. A woman was killed in a vehicular accident on Homestretch Avenue by an intoxicated driver. Esther Sobers has that story.
A 23-year-old woman lost her life whilst trying to cross the Homestretch Avenue. The dead woman has been identified as Janelle Davis of La Penitence, Georgetown. She was knocked down by a motor car driven by 29-year-old Delroy Diegar on Homestretch Avenue around 4:30 hours on Tuesday. The dead woman has been identified as Janelle David from La Penitence, Georgetown, was struck down on Homestretch Avenue by a motor car driven by 29-year-old Delroy Diegar about 4:30 hours on Tuesday. The woman later succumbed to the injury she sustained. According to a police report, Diegar was driving a motor car bearing the license plate PSS 4025. He was reportedly proceeding east on the northern drive lane of Homestretch Avenue at a fast rate of speed. The man alleged that David was crossing Homestretch Avenue from north to south and ended up in his path. However, video footage of the accident shows that the man applied brakes but failed to stop. As a result, he collided with the pedestrian, causing her to fall onto the road surface and receiving injuries to the body. The woman was picked up in an unconscious state by emergency medical technicians and rushed to the Georgetown Public Hospital, where she was seen and examined by a doctor on duty. Later in the day, she succumbed to her injuries while receiving medical attention. Meanwhile, a breathalyzer test was conducted on the driver, which revealed that he was above the prescribed limit at 0.038 and 0.036 blood alcohol concentration. He is currently in police custody. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Don't go away after the break. Minister of Health in talks with the Ministry of Education on school possible reopening, and 19-year-old in police custody for burning a toddler.
Survival Shopping Complex brings to you its delivery service, Shop through WhatsApp. This process is simple. All you need to do is call or message your grocery list to 613-9683 and we will select your items for you and have them delivered directly to you, even out of town. This is convenient because we can stay on the phone with you as we select your favorite brands. We're happy to do your shopping for you. Contact us on WhatsApp today and shop Price Smart at Survival Shopping Complex.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 4-6 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Tastes so good. It's gotta be made with Alabama Baker wheat flour. Produced from quality soft winter wheat and quality enzymes to give a superior product that's guaranteed to be luscious, delightful to taste, and stays fresher longer. Alabama Baker wheat flour is perfect for breads, roti, puri, pastries, chow mein, pastas, and many other delights. Imported and distributed by Alabama Trading. 6566 Robb Street, Borda, and 23 Lombard Street. Telephone 225-5800.
Welcome to Kissoon's Furniture. Find everything you need for your home and more under one roof in our newly decorated showroom. Our locally crafted furniture has been perfected over the last 60 years. From our hands to your home, we also bring to you our newly introduced lines of imported furniture and Sleep Center, where you can find a wide range of beds and mattresses. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 60 years.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Today, Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, during the COVID-19 update, spoke about the reopening of schools in September and the collaboration between the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education to ensure the safety of the nation's children.
Well, we have a joint committee between the two ministries, Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education, and we have been in constant talks pertaining to reopening of schools, safety of school children when they get back to school, and so forth. And more recently, we have been in discussion with the Ministry of Education and its top leadership. And one of the things that was discussed at the last meeting pertained to how, when we get vaccines, how we are going to roll that out within the school system. So those discussions are still ongoing.
The government has been calling on teachers to get vaccinated before the reopening of schools in September. However, the minister said now the government is working to procure vaccines for the nation's children.
First of all, the government of Guyana is actively working to get vaccines for children. There have been 2 vaccines that have been given emergency use authorization in the United States, and that is the Moderna vaccine and the Pfizer vaccine. And so far, they're being used for persons between 12 to 18, and we are actively trying to get those vaccines into Guyana so that we can administer it to our children. Recently, there have been reports that in some countries they've been using Sinopharm, but we are awaiting the data to see whether or not Sinopharm can be used. But as of now, we're working to make sure that we get the vaccines, Pfizer and Moderna, to be used in our children population.
The minister also spoke on the topic of forged vaccination cards and the laws that govern it.
We've had some reports that there are people who are selling the cards, and there are people who are unvaccinated who are buying the cards. So I just want to remind the general public that in Section 240 of our criminal law, or Criminal Offences Act, Chapter 801, forgery is an offense, and you can be prosecuted for forgery. And the fine, if you're found guilty of forgery, would be up to 3 years imprisonment. And if you forge a vaccination card, then you'll be liable to this type of punishment if caught. So I want to encourage people to desist from such practices, because when we catch you, you are going to feel the full brunt of the law. So that goes for the people who have access to the vaccination card and the people who are buying the vaccination card, if there are such actions that are currently ongoing. So I just want to warn people that this is an offense, and we'll be taking very stern measures against anyone who's trying to do this.
Minister Anthony added today that the government is looking at ways to digitalize the vaccination cards. Persons accessing ministries, government buildings, and several other businesses must show their immunization cards before entering. The minister reiterated that vaccines are available at all the vaccination sites across the country, and citizens should make full use of them.
Vaccines are available in every single region of Guyana, so there's no excuse. So I do hope that we continue to see this trend where people are coming out to get their first dose vaccine, and ultimately when they're due for the second dose, to also come out and get those as well. These vaccines, if you're fully vaccinated, can make the difference between life and death. So I just want to urge people, if you got your first dose, make sure that you get your second dose. And those of you who haven't been vaccinated as yet, please come to one of our centers and make sure that you get your first dose vaccine.
A 19-year-old man is now in police custody after he burnt a 2-year-old with a cigarette lighter in Rose Hall Town, Quarantine Berbice. On Tuesday, the aunt of the child reported to the police outpost that the suspect assaulted and burned her 2-year-old niece with a cigarette lighter on Monday. The child was taken to the Port Moran Public Hospital by the police after the report was filed, where she was examined by a doctor on duty, treated and sent home. Investigations revealed that on Monday, August 1st, The suspect visited his girlfriend's residence where the incident took place. His girlfriend is the mother of the injured child. While there, the suspect became annoyed with the child since she requested to use the bathroom more often than he deemed necessary. As such, he then took a cigarette lighter and burned her on her back and genital, causing her to receive injuries. The suspect was arrested and placed into custody to assist with the investigation. Don't go away after the break. Rights Group says Chile must stop summary deportation of Venezuelan migrants, and CDC issues new ban on evictions of most U.S. renters after protests. But before that, here's the bridge retraction schedule.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome to Kissoon's Furniture. Find everything you need for your home and more under one roof in our newly decorated showroom. Our locally crafted furniture has been perfected over the last 60 years. From our hands to your home, we also bring to you our newly introduced lines of imported furniture and sleep center, where you can find a wide range of beds and mattresses. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 60 years.
For decades, milk has remained the same. Until now. Introducing the Great Dairy Full Cream Milk from Alabama Trading. Enriched with vitamins A to D and calcium to promote healthy teeth, strong bones, and vitality. Great Dairy Milk is delicious and fortified to encourage healthy cell growth within the body. No wonder it's the #1 brand of milk produced in Ireland. Now available nationwide in 400-gram packages at leading supermarkets and wholesale vendors. Distributed by Alabama Trading.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Survival Shopping Complex brings to you its delivery service, Shop Through WhatsApp. This process is simple. All you need to do is call or message your grocery list to 613-9683 and we will select your items for you and have them delivered directly to you, even out of town. This is convenient because we can stay on the phone with you as we select your favorite brands. We're happy to do your shopping for you. Contact us on WhatsApp today and shop Price Smart at Survival Shopping Complex.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. Human Rights Watch says Chile is deporting hundreds of undocumented Venezuelan migrants without giving many of them the right to due process, including access to a lawyer. Al Jazeera's Lucia Newman reports.
Viviana Garcia arrived in Chile from Venezuela with her 3 children 2.5 years ago. The 38-year-old nurse needed help to care for them while she worked, so she paid a migrant trafficker to bring her mother into the country through an illegal border crossing. But on June 6th, a Sunday, the immigration police phoned and asked Garcia's mother to meet them at a nearby supermarket.
She called me and said, "They've just detained me, and I'm going to be deported." I asked why. The police told her she had been notified, but it's not true. She was sent away to Venezuela without clothes or anything.
Since early this year, Chile has been carrying out summary deportations of hundreds of undocumented migrants, the vast majority of them Venezuelans. They say authorities have denied them the right to appeal their expulsions. Hundreds are being detained and deported on weekends, when the courts are closed and are unable to issue a cease and desist order. Venezuelans argue that obtaining a Chilean visa in their home country is now almost impossible. Chile's Interior Ministry says it wants to discourage thousands of Venezuelans who continue crossing into Chile through the Atacama Desert via neighboring Bolivia or Peru. The government plans to carry out an additional 33,000 pending expulsion orders, insisting that the migrants' legal rights are being respected. But a detailed Human Rights Watch report says that Chile is in fact denying many Venezuelan migrants their right to due process, including the right to challenge a deportation order before it's carried out, and to present extenuating circumstances, such as having a family member residing in Chile.
Our research shows that some of these Venezuelans who were deported have appeals pending in the local courts. And they were not taken into account. That should be illegal any country in the world.
Franco, not his real name, has been living in Chile legally for nearly 3 years. He was overjoyed when he finally managed to pay a trafficker to bring his wife over 8 months ago through an illegal border crossing. But on June 5th, while they were sleeping, he says the migration police arrived and took his wife away.
It took 1 day, 24 hours. At 6 a.m. on a Saturday, they detained her, and on Sunday evening, she was already back in Venezuela. They didn't let us call a lawyer. They barely let her brush her teeth and dress.
Franco says they didn't have time to present their case in court, or to find out that his wife was pregnant when she was summarily sent back alone to an uncertain future in Venezuela. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera, Santiago.
Internationally, with COVID-19 cases rising and political pressure mounting in the United States, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has issued a new 60-day moratorium on rental evictions. Al Jazeera's Rosalind Jordan reports.
11 months ago, the U.S. imposed an eviction moratorium for 15 million renters to slow the spread of COVID-19 and to not put sick people out of their homes. The moratorium expired on Saturday, even though COVID cases are rising again. By Monday morning, landlords had flooded housing courts with petitions to evict their tenants. 3 million could become homeless this month. Luis Vertentes is among them. He was in the hospital and unable to work. He now owes his landlord $5,000.
They gave me 3 weeks because I begged for it. And in 3 weeks, I have no idea where I'm going to go or what I'm going to do.
U.S. President Joe Biden, under pressure to extend the moratorium, told reporters on Tuesday this situation was not supposed to happen.
We'll probably give some additional time while we're getting that $45 billion out to people who are, in fact, behind in the rent and don't have the money. That's why it was passed in the act that we passed in the beginning of my administration, and it went to the states. We were under the impression that the states were moving this money out relatively rapidly.
That $45 billion in back rent assistance was part of Biden's first major pandemic emergency spending law as president. But housing advocates say there are too many roadblocks getting the money to landlords, leaving tenants in a bind. And there's the problem of whether moratoriums declared by the administration are legal. The Supreme Court recently ruled they're not, and that only Congress can authorize them. Well, Congress didn't do that before going on summer holiday, leading some congresswomen to sleep on the steps of the Capitol in protest and to call on Biden to act.
I do understand it. I do know what it's like. I do know what it's like to have babies sleeping in a car with trash bags, my belongings, everything I own in trash bags, because I know what that's like. There's no way that I could sit back and be quiet.
and then celebration.
You guys are fabulous.
Late on Tuesday, the CDC announced it will give renters in areas with high COVID caseloads another 60 days of relief. But what's needed is a long-term financial solution to help Americans through another surge, one that's not easily found in a time of deep political partisanship. Rosalind Jordan, Al Jazeera, Washington.
And finally, India's health ministry says the coronavirus pandemic is still raging and is far from over, but millions do not have health insurance and are struggling to pay medical bills. Al Jazeera's Pavni Mittal reports.
Saurav Sharma recorded this message after spending a month on a ventilator. He needed a medical device to help him speak, but it was a major milestone in his COVID-19 recovery.
32 lakh ka.
However, as his condition improved and he returned home, his family faced another dilemma, paying off the $50,000 in medical bills. After spending all their savings, they borrowed from friends, family, and the bank. Still short, they turned to a popular fundraising site and raised $30,000. Since Saurav is still unable to walk or interact with people, his family has rented a separate home for him with 24-hour care.
Financially,
we lost money because of the medical bills. We lost our incomes and had these new expenses. On top of it, we have interest on loans. It was a very horrible experience. I used to feel like I had almost lost my son. Almost every day I used to feel that I would get the bad news.
Most Indians don't have health insurance. Faced with a mountain of debt due to COVID-19, thousands sought help online and have collectively raised nearly $200 million since the pandemic started. During the record-breaking second wave, online donations increased fourfold.
This was a collective struggle and empathy has only increased. And luckily, because of the digital penetration right now, in the internet penetration in India right now, through social media, we become more aware about what is happening.
India spends less than 2% of its GDP on healthcare, and as public hospitals became inundated during the peak of the second wave, many people were forced into private care, and the cost of life-saving drugs and medical equipment in short supply also shot up.
Government has been for the last 20 years, but definitely in the last 7 or 8 years, having an active process of encouraging markets in healthcare. But when the COVID-19 came on, the markets, the private sector completely failed to rise to the occasion. In the beginning, they shut shop. Later, when they opened, they were charging high.
In a bid to restart the economy, restrictions have eased across the country, but the lockdown has pushed millions into poverty.
With the threat of a third wave looming large, many states have made arrangements to increase hospital beds and improve oxygen supply. But experts say that even if the next surge is mild, its economic and social costs will be disproportionately high. Pavni Mittal, Al Jazeera, New Delhi.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. is all for this edition of Channel 2 Headline News Updates. Tune in on Thursday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, stay safe and take care.